Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a video to show you how to change the vibrator in the iPhone 6 Plus. So the easiest way that I've found to open this phone up is to get a suction pry tool like this. It's just a little pry tool, and it works so much better than using the other ones and just using suction cups on the front like these ones here. You can use these kind of like this, but I found it so much easier to use an actual tool like this. So the other thing we're going to be using is a little screwdriver, a Torx size 0, and also we're going to be using a Phillips screwdriver size 000. And I wanted to show you these, and I'll include links in the video description where you can find these tools if you're interested to work on this phone and to do this repair, and any parts that I'll be using during this repair I'll include links in the video description for those as well, to be sure to check them out. So first, what you're going to want to do is power down your phone, make sure it's turned off, and then at the bottom right here there's 2 screws, and they're for the Torx that I was talking about, the size 0, and you're going to want to remove these 2 screws right here. So next, what you're going to want to do is take this pry tool and attach it as close to the home button as possible. If you have broken glass on here, what you can do is just put a piece of tape over it, and that'll take care of that, and then that'll have something to adhere to. And then so what you're going to want to do is just pry up a little bit. As you can see, I got it started already. And then what I would recommend is, mine was a little bit stubborn, so if you go right in here and just carefully, I had a little plastic pry tool and just carefully pried up here a little bit, then it started coming right apart. So next, what we're going to want to do is remove this suction cup tool. It's really easy to remove. Then we're going to want to pry up. I'll show you down in here. The next thing we're going to want to do, if you can see okay, is remove these 5 screws right here off this plate, and you're going to need the little Phillips screwdriver, and just make sure to keep them in the same order so you know which order they came off. So next, now that this connector is loose here, this plate, you can just grab it. I'm just going to use tweezers so you can see what I'm doing easily enough. And you just want to set that aside, and then I would recommend having a plastic pry tool so it for sure doesn't short anything out. And get under this connector right here, pry this connector up, and go ahead and pry this other connector up right there. And then if you lift these up, there's a 3rd connector right there. Underneath that, there's a 4th connector. So once you get all 4 of those connectors loose, as you can see there, then the whole screen comes apart, just like that. So next, what we will need to do is use the Phillips screwdriver and remove these 3 screws right here. And be sure to keep them in the right order. Keep track of them so you know which ones they belong to. I would recommend when you take things out that you put the screws right with it. That way you know where it is. Like, say for example, you put this down and put this screw and this screw right with it in the right order so you know where they go. Go ahead and remove that, and then next, just to be on the safe side, is we're going to use a plastic pry tool, and we're going to remove the connector for the battery right here. We're just going to pry up on that. And next, what we're going to do is we're going to pry up on this connector right here, and we're going to kind of fold it up. And then what we need to do is we need to remove this antenna right here and just pop that out of the way. Then we need to very carefully, if we pull this up here, we need to remove this screw right under here. What we need to do is, these screws here and this thing don't like to come up very easily, but what we can do is, if we just carefully, I'm just going to try to use my tweezers so you can see a little better here, and we'll just get this around here, and the screw fell out now, so go ahead and move that screw, and then the screw in this end of the vibrator, like that, it doesn't normally like to come out very well, but it did just now. We'll just get this vibrator off the side for now. You can just flip it over right here on this underside, and then the antenna is fastened in the side of that. So what you can do is just carefully use something to pry in there and pop the antenna wire out. And then the vibrator comes out just like that. So to grab your new part, just set it down here, clip the antenna wire in, It can be a little bit of a pain sometimes to clip it in there. Next we can go ahead and set the vibrator back in. And we'll need to fasten it, the antenna, on the logic board there. And then we kind of have to wiggle around this connector here. This connector can be kind of a pain. Make sure that this antenna stayed in place. Then go ahead and put these two screws back in. So next, just make sure that this antenna stays between this little shield and the speaker here. Make sure with the moving the vibrator around that it didn't do anything. Then go ahead and reconnect this connector right here. And push down so the adhesive can stick. And then go ahead and reconnect the battery connector. Then we can go ahead and set our shield down for here. And go ahead and put those two screws back in. So to reinstall the screen, just grab the screen and just use your fingers or whatever you want to use. I'm going to use my fingers, hopefully you can see okay. And just start with the big connector and just kind of work your way down. The big connector of course goes first all the way towards the front, the top, and then the next one goes next in line. And then just do them kind of in order as they come down. And then this connector goes over there, and then this connector goes on the bottom. Then you can feel once they all pop in securely. Then you grab your shield and set it right down on there. And go ahead and put your 5 screws back in. If it's a lot easier to put these screws back in, you can turn this screen carefully like this and start doing these outside ones. And then without turning it too far to get to the last ones, then you can, once that plate is pretty much where it won't move, then you can put the last ones in like that. So then next what you will want to do is just grab your screen, and there's little notches at the top here, get those started in first. Then you can just start pressing your screen in till it's down all the way. And then lastly, put your 2 screws back in the bottom down here with the Torx screwdriver. And you're all set. Thanks for watching.